Hi guys, so let's continue. The others may join us later. So what we have over here is basically what we've done. Now we want to also change this. We don't just want to render an HTTP response over here with the map, okay? Because that's where we are going to see the map. We want to actually put out the templates. So you put in a request, then the name of the template, which is map.html. All right. So we save this. Then inside our map.html, we need to tell it we are extending from the base.html. So we'll bring in that code again. We do extend. Then we are bringing in this partials over here because this base.html, although it's in the templates folder, but then it's in a subfolder called partials. So we need to tell Django so that it's through. Then .html. All right. Then we are going to create a block content. So you do block content. Then you do end block. All right. So inside the block contents, what do we want to see? Now, we are going to add in a couple of things, but then the first thing we want to do is to use the bootstrap things that we know. So we are going to create a container over here. Then inside the container, we are going to have a row like we did the last time. Then we are going to have 2 columns. So let's do call MD6. All that this means is we want to create 2 columns and we are dividing it. Remember, the entire row is 12. So if we are dividing the first one, it means the second one should also be 6 as well. So we just copy this and bring this one over here. Then you can just type in, let's say 1 and 2. Okay, we just want to see 1 and 2. Then in order to actually see it, because this is actually going to be under the navbar like we saw with the, this is the templates, okay? It's going to be under the navbar. So in order to bring it, we can actually do a margin top of 5 and a padding top of 5, like you saw me do the other one. All right, so when we do this, I think everything is almost done here. We can go back into a, so these are as map, okay? When we render this, we are going to see that we are going to have the navbar, okay, which is from the base template, and we are going to see these 2 calls over here. All right, so the first thing we are going to do is to, let's say, you can take this and do a couple of things over here. We can have, let's say, an H3 header over here, which we are going to call this, let's say, title. Like I'm even, let's say, message. Or let's say information. Let's call this information. So information. Okay, so this is going to be the title, and we are going to have a paragraph. And just for demonstration purposes, we want to generate a dummy text. Okay, so we'll do this lorem. You can as well do a couple more lorem, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So when we go back into when we refresh, we're going to see that lorem displayed over here in the first column over here, column 1. So we do a refresh and you can see that this information and this is a lorem. This is actually where we are going to put in the map. All right. And you see this looks a little bit crooked, okay? The indentation is not good. So what I want to do is we want to justify it so that it looks straight, like you do with your Word document. So what we can do is we can add a bootstrap class, which can say txt justify. And when we save and come and refresh, you'll see that this is justified, okay? So it looks a little bit neat. All right. Now, This is just by way of showing things over here. Now let's go to base.html. Okay, inside base.html, we want to do some linking over here. So inside our nav, okay, inside our nav, we are just going to call this. So this is going to be our home page, and let's call this map. Then we want to link it up inside the href. So inside this href, we are going to put in a template tag, and inside the template tag, like we always know, this is a URL link. So we are going to say URL and the name of the template. So this is going to be index. Okay, this is how we simply do it. And we are going to repeat the same thing over here for the map. I mean, I covered this in the TPM. That's why I'm running very fast over here. So we are just going to say map over here. Now when we save and we come back, we should be able to navigate through it. So for instance, when you click on home, we are going to go to why is it not working? Okay, I need to refresh it. Okay, so after refreshing, when I click on home, we are being sent to the home page, and when I click on map, you are going to see the map over here very soon. So basically, this is what I want us to do. Okay, and when you click on this, we are going to see /map, and we are navigating back and forth through our pages. Remember, with this one, we are not putting it in a container, so you see it is to the side over there, but this is in a container. That's why you have the padding over here, the margin over here, actually. Okay, so let's go and look at some few things over here. So inside our map.html, this is where we want to have our map. So we can put this h3 in here. Then let's say geomap. All right. So geomap is going to be rendered in there. So when we refresh, we are going to see geomap. Let's put this, let's say, a little in the center. I mean, these are things you can just do for yourself. I'm just taking the trouble too, so we can do txt center. And we saw this when we were doing bootstrap, so these are not new to us. That's why I'm moving very fast. And when you refresh, you see that this is centered and this just aligned to the left. Okay, now let's go to the main meat of whatever thing we are trying to implement. And like I said, everything is going to be in our views. Okay. Now remember, there's always one parameter we can pass in here, which is the context. Okay, so we can actually pass in a context. And I'm going to show you something very soon. So you can pass in a context, and the context is actually going to be a dictionary. Okay. Now let's say we have some data in here, and I'm going to show you. Let's say we have name. Name is equal to, and I'm going to use my own name. This is Ken. Okay, name is Ken. Now I want to pass this name into our context. And remember, the how do you call them? This is a dictionary, and the dictionary is a key pair value. So the key, like I normally do, we can put in name over here, and the value is this variable storing this name over here. So we can pass in a variable name. And when you pass in this variable, you can just put out context over here. So you put out this context over here. What you are trying to say is that as far as this particular function view map is concerned, okay, this function map is concerned, it has some data, and this is what we are doing, trying to bring in data from the database. And remember, let's say what we did something like computer underscore std is equal to, then we did computer db, and the computer db was the name of our model, okay, dot objects dot all, and that's what we collected all the objects from the database and saved it here. And inside our context, we pass in this particular variable over here, and things were working out. Now we are not using any database, and we are not collecting any data from the database. But then let's say we have this variable over here, so we have this context over here. What we can do is to, after saving this, we can actually go into this map, okay, and also once again use the template tag. But remember, this time around we are passing in data, so we use the double template tag, and we can just pass in name. Okay, when we pass in name and we come back and come and we're going to see the data name, Ken, rendered in this particular part of it, okay? And that's basically what we are trying to, or we will do as far as this whole exercise is concerned. All right, so we will go back into our views. We'll go back into our views and we'll try and implement the logic over here. Now remember, the Folium map, we need to import the Folium. So we just come here and say import Folium, like we did, okay, import Folium. Then, because we want that part of the map logic to be implemented in this particular view, we need to write that part in this function so that it becomes part of the function. Remember, a function is a block of code that gets executed whenever it is called. So that map we are creating should be that block of code inside the function map. It's not supposed to be here. If it is here, then that means it's going to be rendered in the index.html. Okay. So we can do m is equal to, like we did, dot map. Okay. We can do folium.map just like this. All right. Now remember the next thing we did, okay, we did with our the refresher that we just did was to do map or m.save. Then we called in this one map.html. Okay, then we saved it and it created an HTML file over here. We're rendering up and down, Now this time around, we're not going to do m.save over here, okay? But then I'm going to show you something. Remember, this now becomes an object, okay? Because this map, like we did with computerstudent.object.all, and we saved it in that particular thing, we're able to render it over here. Now what we have over here, and instead of this name Ken and things like that, we can actually render this map in here. So we are M and M. All right. So all that we are trying to say is that this map, okay, this map you see, this object map should be rendered in our context. And once it is here, all that we can do is to simply go back into our map.html like we have over here and just type M, the name of the map. All right. Now when we come back, we are not going to see the map yet, but then I just want to show you the process it goes through. When we this, we are going to see folium.map objects. Okay, so there's a map object. We don't want to get the map object, or we don't want to see the map object. We actually want to see the map itself, like the map itself. Remember, we are not saving this, and we can't be saving this in our project. Okay, we can't do m.save. Okay, we can't do m.save over here and give it the name of the template and things like that. That's not going to work. So what we are going to do is we need to call in a function, okay? And we are going to override this particular variable. And when I say override, it is not anything new. Let me just create a file over here, and let me just call this test.py. All right. Now, and this one I'm going to ask you, so I expect a response from you. Let's say we have a variable called x, and we have 5, and we write x is equal to, and this time around we give it the name of Ken, and we do print x. Okay, we are going to run this, but to run it, I want to ask, what do you think is going to execute when I print x? And I'm going to ask each and every one of you, so everyone should prepare an answer. So B2, what do you think is going to print for x?
Um, 5.
You answer again.
5.
Okay, you think it's 5. Okay, so Dorothy, what do you think is going to print for x? Maybe Doris, you have your mind. So
So wait against me.
yes, please. What do you think is going to print for X with this particular thing that you are trying to run over here?
Ken.
You think it's Ken, okay? But remember, X is equal to 5 over here. Anyway, let me ask Gamel, what do you think is going to print over here when you run this code?
It will print Ken.
It will print Ken, okay. We have divergent views over here. Some think X, some think Ken. Nase, what do you think is going to print over here when you run this code? Okay, so Nase has an answer for me. Okay, he says Ken. Phil, what do you think is going to print when we run this code? Okay, it's you too for me. And she's saying Ken. Okay, so I think it's obvious it's either going to be Ken or 5. Okay, now what we just did over here was to Python is actually going to execute our code sequentially. Okay, so it's first going to execute line 1. It's going to save 5 into this variable. Then when it comes to line 2, it is overwriting, okay, and that's what I wanted to implement over there. It is overwriting already known 5 with a new variable or a new content Ken. So when you run this, you are going to see Ken as if we should clear this out. Let's say if we comment this one out, we should comment this one out. Then it is going to output 5. Okay, so what we did over here was to just to override this parameter. All right, I'm going to close this. Don't save. I'm actually going to delete it. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. We are going to override this variable. Okay, and this is what we are going to do, and we are going to see something interesting. We are going to do m is equal to m dot. Okay, there are a couple of things we can do. What we are going to do is to use what I call rep. Okay, so this is what we are saying, and it's actually a function. So this is actually going to override this, and we want the HTML representation of this. Okay, remember when we do m.save and we put it, we put the name over there, m.save, and we put in map.html. We actually had an HTML representation of the map, okay, and that's what we want over here. So instead of just passing in m, we see that we want an HTML representation of it. And this m now will be considered over here other than this object, okay? So we are going to see the HTML representation of it other than just the object. Okay, so after saving this, we'll go back into our HTML, our browser. So this was the object. Now when we refresh, we are actually going to see the HTML representation of it, okay? And this is where, like, what we are going to see, and we are going to run it from there. And I don't know if what I'm saying is actually making sense. So this is what I'm saying. Let's go back into the first project that we are trying to do. So this was m.save, okay? And we gave it a name. And normally you see me do, I'll come and run here. So this is the HTML representation, okay? These codes you see over here is what is being rendered over here for us, okay? So you can see there are a bunch of codes over here, a bunch of them. But then this is not what we want. We don't want this for a map, okay? This is actually not a map. This is the HTML representation of it. So in order to get a map, we just need to add just a single line of code. I mean, not even a line of code, but then to change things up over here. So what we are going to do is we go into, we will just go into our HTML, okay? Our map. Remember, this is where you want our map, and this is where we are picking it from the context. We are going to filter it, okay? We just do a straight slash, okay? Then you do save. So there are a couple of filters, but then there's a save filter, okay? When we do this, we are actually going to see a map and not the HTML representation. So when we refresh, we are going to see our map rendered in here. Okay, and this is exactly what we wanted to see with our map. And we can actually zoom in and do the things we wanted to do. All right, so one of the, the obvious things we would want to do is to look at, so we can come to views, our view, we have our map in there, and we can do the normal things like we always do. We can add a marker, all the things that we did, okay, they need to come under this, after this map, okay. So let me create some, let's say, create map. So these are comments, okay. Then we want to say get HTML representation of, okay. And this is our context. This we already know, okay. So this is something new that we are learning today, okay. We want to get the HTML representation of the maps. So we are overwriting this particular variable and things like that. So we can actually put in some, we can do location. And for location, I'm going to paste in some values over here. Then we can do zoom stats. And the zoom stats, let's give it a zoom start of, let's say, 7. Let's give it a zoom start of 7. Then for, go back into, column, map work. Okay, we are just going to copy the University of Ghana coordinates. So we just want to copy these coordinates. So Control C. Then we just copy it in here. All right, when we save this, I don't know if, okay, so we can refresh. Okay, so it's actually giving us that zoom stats. And you can actually add in the marker, okay. So you can do Folium dot marker. Then also you put in a, so we already have that one, so we put in this location, and we just do dot add to, then the name of the map is M. So when you do this and save this, you just come back and you're going to see the marker. When you refresh, we are going to see the marker in there, okay. And so basically, like you can see where we are getting, basically all the things we implemented with the last tutorial, you can do the same things over here. But then the most interesting thing about this entire work is that you actually have a map incorporated in your application. And there's something very important. So the ones that you saw do like the, I don't know, column, like the COVID-19 thing that you're trying to do, and these are things you can do, and these are some of the things we saw, the Johns Hopkins University, some of the data they were trying to show in their maps and things like that. I'm going to show you one last, okay, and this is actually the application. So when you go to our index, this is our index page. We haven't done anything so much here, but then when you click on map, it brings us here, and we are going to see the map. So you can imagine the application of some of these things are endless, okay. You can look at this and see that, oh, Charlie, even with this small interface, like your website, it's like you have some good logic and some nice views. And I think if you learn some of these things very well, you can implement them. So, like I told you, I only got to know about Folium last weekend. So normally what I do is after learning the library or some package, then I try and implement it in an application and see how maybe I can put it on a web application or a mobile application or things like that. And the of some of these things are endless. You just have to be innovative and see that, okay, fine, this is what you want to do. And we can actually add the ones that we are actually calculating the distance from, let's say, the linear distance from, let's say, Kumasi to Koforidua and all those things, okay. What we can also do is to add a pop-up. So like we did, we can actually add a pop-up and things like that. So, and that's actually going to happen with a marker. Okay, so with the marker, we can do tooltip. Tooltip. Okay, so tooltip is actually going to be click for more. All right, click for more. Then when we click, what do you want to see? You want to see a pop-up. These are things we did. Okay, so the pop-up is going to be University of Ghana. All right. So this is going to be in our marker end. After saving this, when we come back and come and refresh, we are going to see a tooltip. Click for more. As you can see right there, when you click on it, you are going to see the University of Ghana. So basically, all the things that we did, all the things we did from the first video, I'm going to upload the videos today. All the things we did from the first video, we can incorporate that into a Django application. And I don't know, but then you can imagine how big an application can be by just learning a particular package and bringing it in and doing some. All right, so that's just about it. But then today I'm going to show you one last thing as far as this whole thing is concerned. And like I said, I'm still learning these full. So one of the things I learned quite recently was how do you call it? Okay, so one of the things I learned recently was from, remember this is the open street map, okay? This map we see over here. This map we see over here is the open street, and you can see it's labeled over here. So this is the open street map under OD, LB or whatever. Okay, so this is the open street map. There are other maps, okay, that are different from the open street map, and that's what I want to show you. And probably that's going to be the last thing we are going to do as far as this project is concerned. And I actually grabbed it somewhere. Let me see where I can find it. Okay, so views on. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy some codes, okay, and just show you how things will look like. Okay, so you have 10 minutes. I will quickly finish up with that. Okay, so I've copied some codes over there, and I mean, this is not something you should be scared of. All right, so this is what we are doing. We want to do folium.raster_layer. Given it, we are calling this tile layer, and this is the name of the map that we are talking about. Okay, so we have the stamen terrain, we have the stamen tuner, we have the stamen watercolor. These are different maps. Okay, and we are going to see. And after doing it, we want to add it to this M, which is our map. Okay. All right. Then I don't think we need this marker. Let me take out this marker. All right. Then after that, we do folium.layer control. Then we do add to map, and the layer control is actually going to give us the option to go between layers. Okay. So after saving this, we are just going to see it over here. When we refresh, all right, this is the layer control. Okay, and when you hover around it, this is a stamen terrain and things like that. Okay, when you click on stamen terrain, it's going to give you this different outlook of a map. All right, and this is what I was talking about. This is the different outlook of the map, and this is the stamen tuner. Okay, this map too is different. So depending on the kind of application you want to implement, there are different types. There's not only with the open streets. Okay, and when you zoom in, you are going to see different. I don't know the exact concept behind the different maps, but then I think the people who did geography can tell us maybe these are maps you use when you want to implement, let's say, weather data and things like that. So, and there's another one. and this is another one. And this one is actually almost like the Hawkins map that we saw on TV. And they'll be putting out the various data and things like that. Okay, you get the whole concept now. Yeah, so that's basically that, and that brings us to the end of this whole internship thing. Okay, we've been able to implement a web application, but then the core idea was how to implement different database management system. Okay, it is very important. And the whole concept, once again, was drawn from the inspiration from, let's say, the NIA, trying to integrate the voter register data, the SNIT data, the birth and death registry data. And you know, Ghana, we have a problem with keeping records and things like that. Okay, so that was very good for something. And you can imagine the endless applications you can build. Now, we also learned a whole lot about Django, which we switched on to the second project, which was to deal with the geospatial application. We started off by our own web map service, which we completed. The second part of the project, like I said, because of technical problems and how technical it is, we just had to bring this Folium thing inside. And as far as Folium is concerned, we've also seen how we can incorporate Folium into a Django application where we are seeing this particular map. And so, for instance, you can create a map. So this portion can also be a map where you are just going to put out some, different things. Okay, so let me just do that to show you. This portion where we are having this lorem thing, we can actually clear this whole thing. Okay, you can actually clear this whole thing and just out this map over here. So Control C, and you bring out the map object over here. So we are going to get two maps. Okay, we can run this. So we are going to see two maps over here. And let's say we can just choose this one to be, maybe we are trying to interpret two different things. So there's one map, okay, and there's another map. And they are two independent maps, okay, so they do two different things. You can plot different things over here, and this is also going to be another different thing altogether. And you can imagine the applications of some of these things. They could be endless in terms of trying to implement what, or maybe interpret data. All right, so that brings us to the end of this particular session. Like I said, on Thursday, we are going to do the presentation, so I expect you to be working together. And after the presentation, I would also want you guys to also assess me, okay? And it's very important. Sometimes, maybe I know that thing, but the way and manner I deliver it is problematic. So let's say from a neutral point of view, I think most of the things you learned were quite new to you. So from that, not knowing so much about it, how do you assess me? And please be very critical. I know people like Theo is not going to spare me on this one, but then that's what I need. Okay, open rebuke is better than secret love. Tell me exactly. Okay, you can leave one message. Okay, Theo is already. Okay, oh hi, you there? I know you. So, so please, on Thursday after everything, I also want you to assess me, some feedback, the things you felt was okay, the things you felt was things I could have changed. Actually, I've taught a number of people programming, but then most of them had been in proximity, like they are with me, I'm teaching them back and forth, so like I see what they are trying to do and things like that. But you see, putting it out in a virtual environment is a whole ball game altogether, okay? And like we all witnessed, there were instances where we saw on social media where lecturers were fighting with students, online lectures and things like that. But then I feel if I'm able to do it online, then it means I can actually do it in person proper. Is that okay? And we don't know where we are going to meet one day, but then I want to get that feedback from you, how well I was able to teach that thing. And that's going to be on Thursday. So Thursday after your presentation, it's going to be the graduation day for this internship. So Thursday after your presentation, I'm also going to take feedback from you. And please, the feedback there, I know NASA is going to hit me hard, so I'm prepared. So thank you for your time. Any questions?
Sir,
Yes, please.
I just want to ask, see some small side of the code you wrote. You see the site. I may have forgotten. Like, bear with me.
Which one?
When you click on map. No. Where you
I should go back.
the website, yes.
Yeah.
When you click on map, you don't need to go to the address bar to change maybe map / It automatically does it. You use the URL, but I can't really see where. I didn't see like.
I didn't see that
Can you
part.
show me the code where? Yes.
Okay, so that's one thing. Can anyone? Let me leave that open. Can anyone share with us how we handle that part? Nancy, can you try? Gamal, can you help us figure it out?
I think he used the template, something like those 2 curly brackets thing.
Yeah.
The base.html, and then
Thank
he
you very
cited.
much. That's where very good. In fact, I like that. So you see this particular header, okay, or the number. Okay, the first question you need to ask yourself is, where are we getting it from? We are getting it from the base. All right. So, okay, yeah. NASA also has an interesting. So we are inheriting it from the base.html primarily. So what we have over here is this. When we go into our partials folder, okay, our base.html, this is a navbar, okay, and inside this is a navbar, okay, and our what is going to hold everything over here. So inside our navbar, we have this home, okay, so this home and this map, and these are the only 2 links we did, and this is what we did, okay, the URLs index, and that's what link if we have another view. So for instance, we can actually create, let's say, so for the drop downs, okay, action. Let's put action to, let's send action to our map, okay. So we'll do map, we'll do URL, then just call the name of the template, which is map. All right, we'll save this. Remember, with action and something else here, we don't have anything over here. It is still hash, okay. So when we save this and come back,